Hello, one and all, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today I am going to answer some questions that have been given to me. So my first question was, what do I like most about people? Well, I like people who are kind, outgoing, approachable, and can accept who I am. Question number 2 was, what do I dislike about people? I dislike people who are very snobby and think they're above others. I also dislike people who are very two-faced and dishonest, which admittedly we all can be from time to time. But I usually like when someone who is upfront and honest with me, because then I can understand where they're coming from. That doesn't mean I necessarily like that person or what they have to say, but at least I know where they stand. I can't really say the same thing for someone who's very two-faced, because it can be very hard to really figure that person out, and a lot of the times I feel like I can't have a very genuine conversation with that person. I also don't like argumentative people, as it can be very frustrating to talk to them in a very civil or rational manner. I speak from the heart here, because I have a lot of people in my family who can be very difficult to argue with. Okay, question number 3 was, what makes me laugh? Well, I can't really be very specific here, because different things can make me laugh at different times. I suppose what I find funny is something that's very stupid or random or witty, something that is tragic and kind of relatable, if that makes sense. And now, the 4th question was, what can make me cry? That's deeply personal. Valentine's Day. Enough said. Question number 5 was, what is loneliness to me? Loneliness, I feel like I should clarify that there is a distinct difference between being alone and being lonely. Now, being alone is when you're not interacting with anyone, but being lonely is when you wish for a human interaction and you don't have it. Therefore, I feel as though, with that definition put in motion, that the most loneliest I can feel, or anyone can feel, is when they are around other people, yet feel so utterly alone. Human interaction feels so close, yet so far away. I suppose that's why I find that if I'm living in a remote area, or with no people in sight, or, God forbid, if you end up finding yourself on a desert island with no one around, then even though you will feel alone and maybe even lonely, there's a logical and completely justified reason why you're feeling that way. That is because there's no people in sight whatsoever. But if you are surrounded by people and you don't feel connected with anyone, and you can't talk to anyone, and no one talks to you, and you feel as though you're pushed out of every social circle, that is the definition of loneliness. It is possibly the most emotionally frustrating and most upsetting position to find yourself in. Now, next question. This is a big one now. What would I change about the world? Now, I feel as though I'm not quite educated to really give a proper answer to this, but I'm going to lend my opinion to it regardless. Now, I think, in my opinion, that we seem to be having a problem with intellectual dishonesty in this day and age, especially in regards to politics. Therefore, I think that the number one change that I would do in the world would be to change the secondary school education system, or high school, depending on where you're from. Because I feel as though it's sort of a wasted opportunity, as there's so much that can be done in school, and so many subjects that can be taught, but they just aren't. 2 subjects that I would have taught in every single school to every single person would be politics and philosophy, because it feels as though we learned so much about these things at too late a stage, where we're in our adult life and we're just fumbling around and bumbling through all these different ideologies, and we can't really figure them out because no one ever taught us these things. excuse me. So I feel as though if we learn about it at a young age, and we become well versed in these different discussions at a young age, then we'll be able to have a more in-depth understanding of these different subjects and different views that continue to affect our lives in every shape and form, particularly politics. And that's why I think politics is important to teach people, because otherwise you'll have a lot of people, myself included, who aren't educated enough about political systems, making very poor decisions and electing people into office who shouldn't be elected. So anyway, those are my answers, and hopefully you'll be able to figure out what my personality type is based on those answers. Okay, bye then.